Hello. Hello. I'm back to not hearing you. Hmm. I can't hear you.
Bow_man.
Nice.
All of these great kind of phrases. I mean, obviously he's a writer. He's a coach. He's
a life coach or a sex coach? What kind of coach?
Sexuality and relationship coach.
Nice.
So somatic sexuality and relationship coaching.
Somatic sexuality. Yes. Well, what does that exactly mean? Somatic sexuality.
I believe it's like through using body. I don't know if it's body work or movement.
I do. I can.
Can you hear us? I can't hear him now.
Victor,
oh wow.
There? Can you say something?
I hear you.
We hear you too.
Hear him.
Oh my gosh!
Can you hear us, Victor?
All right, we got it.
Yes.
Oh my
wow.
God!
Why don't you introduce?
Okay, so I was just telling everybody about you, and I brought up Ab Ovo, and then also bonobo_man, which is your handle. But then I was trying to describe what somatic sexuality and relationship coaching would look like, but I don't really know. So I know what somatic means, but could you kind of go in and give us a little intro to what you do?
Sure.
Please.
Yeah, I will.
Nice to meet you, by the way.
Good to meet you.
Where does my hand go on screen? Over here? Oh. Hi! Hello! Good to see you.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to. Well, here's what somatic means. I'm gonna try to like gather myself.
Yeah, that was a little stressful. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there's some stress. So somatic means of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And so somatic sexuality coaching means that I'm working with people with the absurd notion that sexuality happens in your body.
What?
No.
God, that is bizarre.
I've
never done it that way.
Yeah. And so as I work with clients, we're actively utilizing the body and its senses to understand more about what their eroticism is about, what their sexuality.
So, like, actively in the session, you guys get down in Body Town? Or you just teach them psychology? Yeah.
So
it's touchy-feely.
Yeah. Some of it's touchy-feely.
Nice.
Some of it's not.
Uh-huh.
It depends.
Yeah.
And I'm super echoey. Right? I don't know what to do about that.
Oh, to you? Well, the good thing is it's not on our end and it's all about us, so don't worry about it.
Okay,
no, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. Sorry about that.
It's going to mess with your brain a lot. And
my brain is messing.
Yeah.
No! You want your body messed with, not your brain.
I know.
Oh, why?
Mess with my body, not my brain.
Now are you just... Uh-oh, did we lose his voice? No, God, please.
Oh, no.
No, now you're back.
I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you were pantomiming just then.
I was putting down my echo, and that's awesome.
Yeah, our producer he's messing with shit to reduce the echoes so that it's just your body and not your head that's messed with.
Is that better, Victor, for that?
Does that sound good now, Victor?
La 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 la.
La 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 la
awesome.
la. Yay! La 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 la. 'Tis the seizure.
Now we can get down to it.
Yeah, get down. Time to get down. Don't hold back. Yeah.
All right. So, where were we?
We just talked about somatic, but
don't ask the ADD person.
Right before you came on, I talked about your pleasure in the ass quote that I read this morning. It was so funny.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
Good.
Like, that was a real pleasure in my ass.
Yeah.
I was asking if it's okay if we use that, because I'm going to start saying that if it's okay. Maybe I'll just like quote you every time. I'll be like, Victor, and whatever your last name is.
You're welcome to quote me. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I like reframing things.
Yeah.
Talk about like, oh, that's such a pain in the ass. I'm like, well, what's the opposite of that?
Pleasure. Yeah, totally.
I want to use that.
I know all those terms that kind of like put people and things down using sex, like, oh, that fucking cocksucker. You're like, that's a great person.
Yeah.
You know, motherfucker. Yeah. Wonderful. What a saint.
Mothers like sex.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's reframe that stuff. Yeah.
Totally. Make it authentic. So yeah, I dig that. Humor.
That's better.
Yeah.
If it's humor, really. Right. It's words to live by, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm hoping that this and it's feeling like it will be, and it's becoming that this experience
Yay!
a complete pleasure in my ass.
Nice. That's
Yes.
wonderful. I'm glad that we could be a part of pleasuring your psychic ass.
Yeah.
Hey, Victor, if you could point your camera down a little, because we have
Oh.
our logo and it's on your forehead right now.
Oh,
The
yeah,
other
yeah.
way. The
Oh,
other
actually,
way.
point it
We're
up.
trying to
Yeah,
get
there we go.
There you
Victor's
go.
face
That's
centered
There
so he
we
doesn't have an
go.
orgy on his
Thank
forehead,
you.
which I'm sure
Oh.
would be the first time, would it, Victor?
There are times when I
Just, you might not be in the mood. You're trying to focus. Not focus. Yeah.
trying to say something intelligent, somewhat intelligent.
Yes, darling, yes. Well, I'm excited to hear all about. I have no idea. Like most guests, you come through my sister, no pun intended, and so I have no idea what this myth of the magic cock is. That going to be part of what comes up today? More puns intended.
It can be. It's one thing that I wrote, and you all seem to
Oh.
gravitate towards. So I can
Yeah.
jump on that. I have never seriously come through your sister.
Yeah. You're not
But
dead
the
yet.
night, the night is young.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly. You're in Ashland. It'd have to be another Zoom meeting after, or
Yeah.
one
That's
meeting.
right.
Ah,
That's
but
right. Well, I feel like that one is kind of related to, and I think it was months ago where you were kind of writing about soft, like I can't remember exactly what you called it, but basically soft sex, and you were talking about the fact that male-bodied people can still engage in sex without having an erection, and I think that was like. I kind of think that those two ideas are a little bit interwoven, where it's like just kind of rethinking how we engage with each other in sexual ways.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that, because that's something that, God, the puns never stop. I come across, it seems like with every new male lover, is that there's a lot of shame around what we even call like erectile dysfunction. And a lot of times I think that term is used out of place. It's used inappropriately. Because, women, when we're engaged in sexual activities, we've got our little micro dicks that get erect and soften, and there's no pressure on us because you can't see it. And the vagina does not close up when we don't have erections. But for men, there's so much pressure to perform. And so I like this notion of, introducing and reiterating to everybody that that's normal and natural, and that it shouldn't be hyper focused on, because then that takes away from the erotic pleasure of just being in the moment, and probably creates a lack of erection.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I tell people this, both bodies with cocks and bodies without, that I don't usually use the word erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
Because it's a setup. And what I tell people is, if for whatever reason your cock is not becoming erect in the way that you're used to or wanting it to, it's doing that for a reason, and it's doing it for a valid reason. Then the reason could be you're not ready to be sexual. Could mean that you have anxiety. It could mean other things related to more physiological functions.
Yeah.
And so instead of saying dysfunction, I just say your cock is responding to the emotional and literal context that you're in right now.
Yeah.
So what can we do to change the context? But also, how can you still stay in the game, still stay present, and not like flee the scene, either physically or mentally, because your body's not doing what it's supposed to do right now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, and you're right. I like that you reframe that, saying that it's not doing what you want it to for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Something's just needed. Just like women, there's always some reason we get our little clitty hard-ons and get aroused, and a reason that, not so much. So, yeah.
Yeah, and they come and they come and they go, and they come in, they go out. It's like the tide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
I like that. Sort of taking the pressure and the shame off of men. That'd be a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
That would be a wonderful thing, because a lot of misery actually happens because of not just the shame of men, but shame in general. But when we move into shame, like if you're in the middle of sex and you're moving into shame and anxiety, people do one of two things. One is they contract in themselves and they sort of leave, or they do something like to their partner, like blame or
Right.
get cold with them or whatever, and neither one of those is good for an erotic time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good not to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And I think that this is something that, well, I'd say I'm getting a little older here, and my partners are older too, and it's like it is something that you see more as you get into your 30s and 40s and 50s than maybe you did in your teens and 20s, where like you would just get erections all the time for no damn reason. And it's something that I now have started seeing as like an opportunity to like see someone's kind of vulnerability and how they're like, they aren't just like a button that you push. Like you don't just go like get boner and then there's a boner, and it's like it tells me something.
That's
it tells
a vibrator.
Me that, yeah, that's what a vibrator does. It tells me like, oh, there is like a complicated, sensitive human attached to this penis, and and that it's responding, that this, and it's also an opportunity for me to see that this isn't the only barometer to see how this person's feeling. Sometimes it is kind of counterintuitive. Sometimes it can be, oh my gosh, I like you so much, I'm feeling a lot of pressure to have a boner, and now I can't get one.
Right.
So I mean, it could go lots of ways.
A lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah. But I think, one time in the past, I had someone, and I nicknamed his the fickle pickle. And I actually just kind of like one night just laid down there and I was just like, hey, we're going to be best friends. And you just don't know it yet. You just don't know me. But I'm just going to be around, and I'm just going to stick around until
and lick around.
Yeah, until you're ready. It's not a big deal, but it was like, I think that kind of like engaging in that sort of conversation where it just becomes like, hey, this isn't a big deal to me. It might feel like a big deal to you, but it's not to me. And I'm just gonna treat this like it's anything else.
Yeah, poor choice of words.
Yeah.
Big deal. So
big deal.
it's not a big deal to me. It's like I'm working on it.
A big deal. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just the thought of you like talking to your lover's cock in such a nice way just made, you can't see it, but made my cock smile. It's like, oh.
Your urethra got longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, and and this is something else that I say to people, and that is part of my work. Part of it is really redefining and expanding like what the hell sex even is, because and especially with cisgender heterosexual people, our definition, I live in that category. Oftentimes the definition is sex is a penis going into a vagina in some way, shape, or form.
Isn't it? No, I'm kidding.
And that is definitely sex.
That's part of it, right? One little part.
But think about it this way: if that is your only definition of sex, and for whatever reason that's not happening or can't happen, then what do you do? Then you're either redefining what sex is for yourself, or you're just like, oh, we're done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's sad to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be done. I want to have bigger, more expansive experiences.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think it's a word that I think it's okay if some words don't necessarily have boundaries, strict boundaries. Like even when people try to answer like the question, what is art? Like what is sex? It's sure there are things that you can definitely point to, like penis and vagina, sex.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But where does it stop? What are the boundaries for where it stops?
Yeah.
And I like to not have them. I think it's just nice if it's a great big open field of whatever the fuck you want it to be.
Yeah. It can be an agreed upon definition. You're like, hey, did we just have sex? Totally. Yeah, we did. Okay.
Yeah, and all it was like this guy on someone's bunghole. You missed this guy. I found this. Did you see this, Victor? It's the little ass-eating elf I found.
Oh my goodness!
Can I push
Santa's
the
little
voice?
helper.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I
can't-
turned him off.
Oh,
I
she
didn't
turned him
I
off.
didn't want him going. I didn't want him going off during the
Yeah,
show.
right, exactly.
But he spreads
Yeah.
his hands and he goes.
Yeah, and his little tongue moves. Where is it? I can. Yeah, it just goes. And once I saw that online, I was like, I have to. Well, first I was like,
I have to
sure,
have
has
that.
to have this. Yeah, and then I was like, but after I make a bunch of videos with it, then she can have it.
Am I gonna want that after you make videos with it?
Yeah, it'll just be glazed like a donut by the time I give it to you. That's all. Sorry, I digress.
Thank you for showing me your ass elf.
From the land of misfit sex toys. That's what I've been saying. I distract though. I distracted him. Yeah, I didn't. If you also have a direction you just want to go in on your own, I started with a question, and you might have some, things that you specifically want to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since you named this episode the myth of the magic cock, maybe I can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
It's a
great
little-
idea.
Totally.
I
A
love
little
it.
bit different. It's a little bit different than what we were talking about.
Okay.
And so I'll talk about the myth of the magic cock, and that's again. I talk a lot about the cisgender heterosexuals, and I don't mean to diss them because I mostly am one. But we've also been sold a bill of goods about what our sexuality is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes from sex negative culture, and some of that comes from a man from the late 1900s, Sigmund Freud. And so this, like, the myth of this magical cock it's kind of related to that idea that Freud put out there, that somehow when you wield this like magical cock of yours, your partner, which we're talking about women in this particular case because that's what Freud was talking about.
Cisgendered women, yes.
Cisgendered women from Vienna.
Yes.
Late the Americas. That just its presence inside of a vagina is supposed to bring the vagina and the vulva to states of ecstasy and orgasm, and that if it doesn't happen that way, if an orgasm doesn't happen in a woman's vagina and vulva in that way from the mere presence of a thrusting cock, then something is wrong, and that women, if they're mature, they need to learn how to have an orgasm like that. Now, some women do. Many women don't. But the expectation that that's supposed to happen, at least in some of the clients that I see, and very forward-thinking, progressive clients, still get trapped in that. Oh, I don't come from my partner thrusting inside of me, and how can I make that happen differently? How can I change that? Or
fix it.
Fix it.
Yeah.
Or someone with a cock being like, what's wrong with me? I can't make my girlfriend, I can't make my wife come with this cock of mine. And I'm like, well, not everyone comes that way. And what are you willing to include in that, so that there's more pleasure happening and we're not stuck in this story of what's supposed to happen, and maybe some ass eating needs to happen. Ass eating out.
Yeah, everyone needs one of these.
Everything out. So that's kind of the myth. This myth that the cock is supposed to be this end all be all magical being, and if it's not happening that way, that something is wrong. And then people get weird, like, why, to their partner, oh, why are you touching yourself? My cock is here. Or the person on the receiving end is like, oh, I really want to reach over and just touch my clit, but he'll think poorly of that.
Right. Shameful masturbation, or the implication that he's not doing it right or not doing enough.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right. So there's the myth. Cocks are awesome.
Yeah, they are. They are. And they don't have to make you come.
They're exactly as awesome as the person they're connected to.
There you go. I like that.
There's that too.
Yeah. Once you dismember them, they're not so great anymore. Talk about
no.
erectile dysfunction. That one might
yeah.
actually work for.
Yeah,
Be
no,
appropriate for that.
dismembered cock is
Yeah.
it's not good.
Yeah, no John Bobbiting or Lorena Bobbiting on
Lorena
this
Bobbitt,
show.
yeah,
Although they
no.
can be sewn back on, and he made a porno, so
Okay, well, there's that.
yeah. I digress again. Dickstraction.
Sorry, this plant is attacking me. I swear I'm in Little Shop of Horrors right now.
Whores. Yeah.
It's okay. I got it away from my head. It was like kind of in my face, but yeah, that and I think like no wonder people get in their heads about having an erection. It's like if you think your boner or your penis is this magic wand that's just going to make someone come by putting it into them, then yeah, no wonder you get up in your head about it. It's like that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's not even about you anymore. It's just about this one part of your body that's this end all be all of existence right there.
Yeah, and the sad thing too, I think, is that, that can talk about setting someone up for failure.
Yeah.
And creating sort of a negative relationship with that, instead of doing all the preheating the oven foreplay stuff that can, more easily potentially create an orgasm for the woman.
Yeah, totally.
You gotta get creative.
Yeah. And you all asked me about this somatic piece earlier, and again, I'm going to bring this part in at least to what I do, and that is when we get anxious, especially like during sex, people tend to become disembodied. I call it fleeing the scene. And some people become disembodied, and again, they sort of shrink in. Sometimes people get disembodied, and I have just start doing things that are like, oh, I'm scared right now, and so I'm just gonna like do the thing that's supposed to work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
And you kind of double down, and you're like, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But when you do that, when you become disembodied, you're no longer listening. And so much of sex, so much of pleasure, so much of like going down on someone or having intercourse with them or doing whatever is about listening. You have to be able to listen to your body.
Right.
And when we stop doing that, that's when we start. This is a big word, but we start objectifying people. You then become an object that I'm going to make come no matter what.
Right.
Because I'm scared and my cock's not working, and it's like
yeah, right. And you're disconnected. I think that sometimes there's maybe a fear, or until you really figure out how to emotionally stay connected through sex. A lot of people kind of like that's the point when they might get disconnected because they associate it so much with performing. And like you're saying, like the myth of the cock takes over and they're like, all right, now I have to perform, which to me implies sort of a disconnection within themselves and a disconnection with the other person, a disconnection from that beautiful, sensual connection and moment, the present moment.
Yeah.
And puts it out there like an agenda-oriented thing. Now I have to make you come instead of just stay connected in this beautiful sensual experience.
Yeah. And sex becomes less of a performance and more of a collaborative improv. That's how I like to do it.
I like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Which reminds me of a rule in improv. I took improv for like maybe 5 years. And the golden rule, the original rule is, when you're creating a scene together, what?
Say yes.
Yes, and so when someone is making a bid in a session where they're all of a sudden they turn to you and they're like, hey grandma, so when you picked me up today at school, like to deny that would be to like, I'm not your grandma, you're on drugs, but you always say yes and oh Sonny, yeah, you look so handsome, you go into it, you add on to it. And I think that's a really important thing to bring into I was going to say the bedroom, but wherever you're having sex.
Bring grandma into the bedroom.
Bring
for sure.
grandma in, exactly. Yeah, that'll make his boner. Well, that'll just probably shrink it, make it, crawl up his ass. But yeah, saying yes and I think is really important because even our language. Talk about boner shrinkers. How we use our language can be a real boner shrinker too. Like, I don't like that, and instead of the no, but yes, and what I would really like, when you're like correcting someone, like if someone's touching you too hard or whatever, finding a way to say yes and instead of you're not doing it right, because everyone's so fragile in their egos when they're having sex. Most people. Yeah. So bringing in that good old yes and. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. So I'm also curious. Did you guys ever see that Gwyneth Paltrow sex show that's new and
Goop.
Goop? Is that what it's called? I was gonna say it was something Goop. It's just plain old Goop. Okay. Yeah. So
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that, and they did have a session where they had like some kind of I don't know what you call it, sex teacher. Did you see it, Victor? Where
I did not see. I haven't seen any episodes except one that had Betty Dotson on it, and she was one of my heroes. But I don't think I saw this episode you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, they did an episode. They did 2 episodes where like a teacher kind of came in and showed the 2 people, like kind of directed with hands-on touching to kind of mentor, what they're talking about, with of course consent of the people on the show. Yeah. And it was really powerful. It just seeing how sensitive and communicative they were about it, and so I wish you'd seen the show because I was going to be like, is that some of what you do?
Well, it is some of what I do. I'm pretty sure that those episodes you're talking about I've heard about, and they were probably doing what's called sexological body work, which is part of in my repertoire, which is that's the hands-on part of the work that I do, where I'm supporting people with understanding their pleasure, helping them understand things like pleasure mapping. So we go through very specific sequences where it's a hands-on genital touch, and like where are your pleasure zones? And I'm sort of like, you can't see me, but I'm sort of like going around the clock here, externally, internally, at different states of arousal, and really supporting people who, some of whom don't have access to pleasure, and some of whom have access to pleasure, but they want to understand more about how they work. And another big piece of sexological body work is also what we would call experiential anatomy, which is really getting people to know, not only from the book level, like, because a lot of books, you like open up the book and they're like, here's what it looks like. And if it's a good book, it has, here's what the clitoris looks like underneath the skin, the entire clitoral complex.
Right.
So there's understanding that. And then it's like, well, there's the book, and then there's your body, because your body is different than the book. So let's understand that. So that's part of sexological body work as well, and other things.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. I was wondering too, like, is this what you primarily do for a living? Because I was just imagining, God, I can't imagine there's that many brave people that could fill up a practice. That takes so much courage and bravery, and someone's ability to be vulnerable, to open themselves up to what you do.
I am floored by the braveness and the courage of the people that come to me for work. And I'm honored when people show up and are willing to work with me, because it's so vulnerable. It's people's bodies, and it's their connection with eroticism, which is fraught for many people. So it is really quite the honor. And then on top of that, I would say that maybe 3/4 of the people that I work with identify as women, and the other quarter are identify as men, and then there's just other people that are other places in between. But that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the breakdown. And
Yeah.
so the additional thing is, here, if you're a woman and you're coming to work with me, there's so much cultural baggage about men and women and fear and violation. So when people show up and are willing to do that, that's even more
Hmm.
of it, that I hold it sacredly. Um,
Yeah. So you do
uh,
have single clients that come too.
I work with individual people. I work with people in relationships of all kinds.
Mm.
There's some things that I do in group and community work, like self pleasure circles, things like that.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Um,
cool.
so yeah, all,
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah. Do you travel as well? Like, do you?
Some. Mostly I see people here, and I see people online as well. COVID has been an interesting time, but a lot of the work that I've done has been online, and it's certainly doable
Yeah.
online.
I bet some
But
people even like that better, because it gives
yeah, I
you
mean,
privacy just a little bit.
yeah. It adds a layer of distance that for some people it has been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I have people come in from out of state sometimes. I have done some traveling and done things at various places, so it really varies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious also, like, I hope I'm not squirreling on you guys, but I also saw a really amazing movie a long time ago that I can't find anymore. And it was about a woman who actually worked as like a sex therapist, and she worked directly with, psychiatrists, or, something like that.
Mhm.
And would actually, there were some people that were so kind of like whatever happened to them in life, it made them kind of emotionally stunted around their sexuality, and she kind of nursed them and coaxed them into being able to fully have sex with her on
Yeah.
this show that was amazing. And I'm
Yeah.
curious if like, I'm just curious about the laws around that. Like, do you know,
Yeah.
are there ways to get licenses in that, or is it just kind of like
Yeah.
under the, more of a,
Yeah.
roof?
So what you're talking about right now is surrogate partner
Ah, okay.
therapy, and what used to be called sex surrogacy.
Mm-hmm.
The laws are gray.
Mm-hmm.
But typically in that situation you're talking about, there's a licensed therapist or psychologist working with a client, and that therapist or psychologist refers the client to a surrogate, and
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of working as a team.
Yeah.
Um, and so the client works with the surrogate, they do their work, and then the surrogate and the therapists work together, and they talk about the client, and it's sort of like a triadic team, and it's very specific. But the laws are gray.
Yeah.
Um, it's one of the things, I consider myself a pleasure activist as well. There's a really
That's
awesome book
good.
on pleasure activism,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, I call myself an activist. It's not like I'm writing laws or legislation or anything, but I'm definitely an advocate for ways of supporting people in their sexuality that are typically not legal, but are completely useful and necessary. Um,
Yeah.
so we have a dearth of actual pleasure education, and we do have people that arrive into their adulthood, and whether it's because of education or whether it's because of disabilities or whatever, they don't have skills, and
Yeah.
they want them, and they deserve them.
Right. I know.
Hmm.
I go back to all the different things that I wish that we would teach children in public schools, all the things that are most important that you're pretty much going to be using for the rest of your life. And this is a huge one that I wish was, I wish we could get over the, Victorian shame ethic hangover and actually educate people about their sexuality, and, take the shame out of it. And I wish there was pleasure advocacy in schools. from the get-go, that would be wonderful. And then we all wouldn't have to be wasting all this money on psychologists and shit like that. And
All the things.
all the things,
things.
But then that'd put you out of a job, so never mind.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, wait.
If I lose a job because we as a country are embodied sexual beings, so be it.
Amen. Amen. That's a good attitude. Yeah.
For sure.
I remembered the name of that movie too. It's I think that I did. Anyway, I think it's Private Practice. And if it
Private
wasn't
Practice.
named that, it should have been.
Yeah.
But I think it's called Private Practice.
That sounds about right.
Apropos. Yeah. Apropos, darling. Apropos.
Yes.
Yes. Are you doing any workshops coming up that you would like the public to know about?
Yeah, I am not at the moment because I don't love doing online workshops, and COVID is still hampering the in-person thing for me. So I don't have workshops coming up, but I am definitely seeing clients right now, and I'm going to sort of reassess in spring or after the latest. We'll see what the latest variant has to offer us.
Yeah. Oh my God. When will it end? Jesus Christ.
I tell you what, when I went to college, I specifically decided I did not want to be part of a fraternity. That was not my thing. And right now I feel like we're like in this weird fraternity. We're in like Alpha, Delta, Omicron.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be part of this fraternity.
Yeah, and we're drinking a lot of Corona. There. Enough with the Corona. Yeah. Drink. Yeah, we don't want to butt chug that anymore. We're done. Yeah. Well, I'm also curious too. Would you like to share your information so that people can contact you? Is your practice closed, open? You taking more clients?
Yeah. My practice is open.
Okay.
I don't know if I can. Anyway, I don't have the skill set to be like typing a bunch of stuff in. But I can.
We have Michael over here.
I think Michael has Ab Ovo up.
Yeah, so people can find me there.
Okay, great.
I'm also on what's the other one? Instagram. So, and that's at bonobo_man. Bonobo, like the chimpanzees.
Yes, our closest ancestors.
Our closest cousins that can teach us a lot.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I feel particularly close to them.
Yeah, I love those bonobos.
Me too.
They're awesome.
They just fuck it all out. Anything's going wrong, they have a tiff. Well, let's just fuck it out.
Totally. That's how I want to resolve problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're matriarchal. They don't harm. They don't beat each other up.
Yep. They're very orgiastic.
Yeah, and we are 98.7% them and they us. So
right.
Yeah.
We have a lot to learn from our horny little buddies. Yep. I've loved. I highly encourage anyone listening to just Google bonobo orgy and go on YouTube, because there they can show it and it's not considered pornography. But oh my God, those little bastards. It's amazing that they can even have an orgy while they're all still hanging in the vines and the trees.
Wow.
With their little pink dicks wiggling everywhere and they're just going at it. It's kind of amazing. Yeah.
They're amazing creatures.
Yeah, they are.
And we are like them.
Yeah. That's what I want to come back as in my next life.
I think I did.
Yeah, you did. Right, exactly.
Live your best bonobo life in the present.
For real.
Right, there you go.
For real, I'm doing it.
That's what you're here for, Victor.
That's right.
Help everyone,
Yeah, anyone who's having a hard time getting in touch with that, definitely.
And I want to mention this too, and that is, so sometimes when we talk about sex positivity and the bonobos, and I just I eat it up, but sometimes people get scared, oh, does being sex positive mean that I'm just I'm supposed to be sexual all the time, anytime, with whoever, blah, blah, and I really want to let people know that, at least in the work that I do, one of the things I talk about is rewilding sexuality, which is becoming more understanding of who we are as primates, as human animal primates, but also to understand that we are domesticated animals. We have domesticated ourselves, and so there's a lot of ways in which our animal bodies and our domesticated bodies are in conflict.
Right.
And so part of the process becomes what actually works for you. You know, it's not chuck your values and just like do whatever. There's this part of you and there's this part of you. How are they going to coexist in a way that feels good to you or feels good to you and your relationships? So I just want to say that because sometimes people are like, "Oh my God, I'm scared." And it's like, well, be scared. You know, lean into challenging yourself, and also, I don't know what your values are, so let's figure out where they mesh.
Right. I like the idea of not succumbing to any kind of pressures. You know, like society has a lot of pressures they put on a lot of people, and we do kind of get over inundated with sex and sexuality, sex sells, and you know, men, you've got the perform in bed, get a hard dick, make women come, or whoever, and you know, women I think have a lot of pressure to, you know, be sexy all the time, be this seductive, sexy thing, because you know that's where we get a lot of like value in the patriarchy is like how sexually attractive we are to men, and there's a lot of pressure to, you know, kind of. I don't want to say like act like a porn star, but that's modeled for us, you know, to seem easy, hypersexual, not honoring of our sensitivity and our boundaries and, you know, how that fluctuates and everything. Just being valued for who you are and not succumbing to the pressure.
Yeah. And having real responses to things. Like the whole idea that like, you know, the second someone touches you, you're going to be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just
I mean,
like the
some
forms.
people might. Some people might genuinely feel that way, but it's like, you know, probably not.
Right.
You know? I mean, sometimes I would almost be like, if I would almost be tempted to try and do it wrong to see if someone's actually just faking it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Ting, 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 ting.
Who knows, though? You know, to each his own. They might actually like what you're doing, you know, while you're flicking them on the taint or whatever.
And Shar, you mentioned something really important there, and that is, I think you just said something about like, what's the truth?
Yeah.
I really like supporting people with like, what's the truth? I've worked. I mean, I work with all kinds of people, but I've worked with people who are very much in like the open sexuality or even like swing communities. And sometimes the work that I've done with them is what happens actually if you slow down?
Yeah.
Right.
Like what's the part of yourself that you let go of so that you get to have that whatever that swing experience. Sometimes people let go of really important parts of themselves so they can have that experience. So what happens when you slow down or feel your truth?
Yeah.
Then
You might lose your erection in victory. No, I'm just joking. I think that's part of the fear, you know. I've felt that a lot in my old age when it comes to having sexual experiences with men. Is, you know, I can feel that pressure, and that when things come to like intercourse, that's where things start to get connected more often than any other time. Is then all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's all just focus on our genitals. Come. You know, so pum. Yeah, they told me pum.
Come.
'Tis the season.
Come.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
On the way here, I was actually singing. So one of my new characters is Old Man Balls. He's sort of like, you know, just that kind of. White male, you know, with money, like a Supreme Court asshole, one of those guys, rich
like
bastard.
Scrooge, kind of.
Yeah. And so, Old Man Balls. So then, because I already created that character, Old Man Balls here, I started singing, oh shit, now I forget the name of the song. Silver Bells. Old Man Balls, it's Jismus time in the city. Yeah. I should play the recording. There we go. I guess it's time to go. Is this our outro music? Oh, okay.
Frosty the Blowman was an angry, horny soul with a three-bass pipe and a bloody nose and two pupils like black holes. Frosty the Blowman was as hoy as he could be. All his bitches saying he could fuck all day, but the coat was never free. There must have been some magic in that
Yeah, it's okay.
big ball he found.
We're hearing it again.
When he sniffed it up his nose, he began to whore around. Frosty would blow a man just to get another fix. He'd fondle their nuts and finger their butts while he deep-throated their dicks. Frosty the blue man made his bitch dance on the pool. He would prick men's pockets while she spread her hands while it hypnotizing them with her hole. Frosty the blue man knew the heat was on one day, so he said, "Let's run, better grab my gun and we'll make our getaway." So he mugged some old ladies and stole their Mercedes to get the fuck out of town. But while he was getting some highway head, he heard that siren sound. Then Frosty did blow man with the police on his tail. In the high-speed chase, he jizzed in her face and they threw his ass in jail. Bumpity-bump, look at Frosty Blue. Humpity-pump-rum, will do anything for blue.
That's the Christmas song, Victor.
I'm
Yeah.
hearing it.
Yeah, that's sorry. Did you hear it twice? The audience.
No,
did.
that was my first time through.
Well, hopefully to next week, I'm gonna. That's one of the reasons I'm wearing this beautiful outfit. Is I'm gonna go videotape it when I go home. Because so this is Mrs. Claus is gonna sing the song, but I have a Frosty the Snowman costume that I'm gonna go out into the world with and do all those parts. That's gonna be. I hope I don't get arrested.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want my ass thrown in jail. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, I want to do a whole album. So, yeah, that wasn't me that squirreled us this time, but I liked it. It was Michael that distracted us this time. Well, I want to make sure that we don't leave anything out that you want to get to in our last couple minutes of having you on our show.
Well, I'll say this to you. I think I've said the things that I can. Well, I can always say more. But do you have any burning last questions?
Oh, I thought you were going to say itching. I was like, actually, I have been having it. No, I was kidding.
I can talk to you about that too. But
Itching burn. I have a burning request, and that is that you do like a coffee table book of your quotes that you've been putting on Facebook, and I think they're the same that you put on Instagram. So I think anyone who follows you on Instagram is going to see what I'm talking about. They're so good. It's just like any day of the week, I would just pick that up and just pick a page and be like, yes.
What about those little tear-off page calendars?
Well, yeah.
like
that's once you have 365 of them, rad.
Keep writing, baby.
Yeah.
Or I can do a pleasure advent calendar for the people that are mixing.
I've so thought about this too, where you open the little door. Sorry, I inhaled some spit. But like where you open the door and there's like little chocolate dicks and pussies inside. And then someone will steal this idea if I say this out loud, but I wanted you to work with me on it. Like basically every time that you pull off one of the advent calendar doors, the scene gets more disturbingly perverted.
Oh, right.
Until it's this huge orgy with Santa and his reindeer and all the elves and everything. But yeah, going to help. Pardon me. Yeah, so, well, before we go off, I just wanted to mention, too, that me and my sister are wearing, my roommate, she's an artist, and she made these lovely vaginators. It's like a fascinator, but it's a vaginator. And I did text her. I was like, where can they buy these? And she said, oh, I don't know. I don't have an Etsy store. And I was like, sell them on mine, bitch. So hopefully, see, isn't it cute? Little handmade, like, vagina hat. You can wear it on your lapel. Yeah. Or you can wear it on your head, and you can make it scratch and sniff if you add your own smell.
Do you want to zoom in on mine, too?
Yeah, zoom in on hers.
It's a fascinator.
It's a fascinating fascinator. Mm-hmm. Yours is laying on its side.
Oh,
so
do this?
Anyway, I just wanted to show those.
Well, I've got something to zoom in on. I know you can't like.
Oh
zoom in
no,
Ah,
roll
yeah.
my
Victor.
camera. But
Where are we going with this?
when I put my Christmas tree up, this is the ornament that I think should be on top.
Oh
of it.
hell yeah, the
I
star at the
love
top,
it.
dude.
Yeah.
A star at the top, a big clitty bang bang star at the top.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
love
Yes.
that. That's beautiful.
That is awesome. Do you sell those?
No.
Darn.
This is one of my educational buddies.
Your
but
clitoris is not for sale. Mine is, but that is really cool. Did you spray it gold yourself?
No, it was gotten gold. It came gold.
It came that way. I was
Ooh,
hoping you'd say that.
I wish I came gold.
Oh, I wish you did too. Oh,
Oh, that could get heavy.
yeah, right, exactly. Or painful if it's not liquid. If you're a squirter. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Oh, we
thank
forgot.
Welcome.
We forgot again to tell people they could like call in with questions. God,
I know.
when will we learn?
Well,
Yeah. We had a few comments there. I can see them off to the side.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
I'm just glad we got the audio figured out so that I could.
Yeah.
actually-
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought we might just happen to be like bullshitting and improving with Remy, the ass-eating elf, for an hour,
Yeah.
which we could, but be a little high-pressured stakes there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think we have all your information in the show notes if anyone wants to look you up, and I highly recommend that they do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, feel free to donate to our cause because, there's a lot of cost involved in making the show. So feel free to subscribe for $1 a month or some shit like that on Patreon.
Yeah. And you
Right.
can write to us at wasthatAnorgy@gmail.com.
And if it's on YouTube, don't forget to do that like and subscribe thing. Because the
Yeah.
more you do that, then the more we get closer to maybe making a little ad money. And we'll try not to be obnoxious and have like mid-roll ads and all that crap.
Yeah. And we won't let jerks advertise with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No
so-
jerks.
No jerks at all. Yes. Well, it's been such a
Yeah.
pleasure meeting you.
Hey.
Victor. Hope it's
So
in
great
person
to
one
see
day.
you.
Let us know when you're coming to P-Town. Yeah, yeah, do it. Mwah.
Okay.
So
Bye.
good to see you. Bye. And thanks.
Pleasure.
Happy pleasure,
Happy
everybody.
pleasure.
Yes,
Pleasure in my
exactly.
ass.
Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye. All right, let's get this guy going.
Now I'm the gal that
Got to turn on the ass-eating elf. Viva, baby.
Well, what are you gonna do? This eager fever baby of
Yeah.
mine.
Oh, wait. Never mind, you Adam.
All there beside you, no matter where you stop. All you to movies, even to the bar. Eager baby. Eager baby. Well, what are you gonna do with this eager baby?